Are live enough. What's going on, everybody? Wednesday, June 12th. It is Wednesday, right? Yeah, it's Wednesday. 8-game slate. We got a 4-gamer today, kind of, in the morning. 4 games for DK. It's the split 2 and 2 for FanDuel. Didn't really know what they were going to be doing because each game kind of starts like, it goes like 12, 1, 3, 4. Wasn't sure if they were going to do the full one, but we do have an early. Yesterday was not a very appealing slate, especially for a 15 gamer. When you start looking at the pitching scores and sort of what rose to the top and what fell to the bottom, just one of those gross days. Did you have any success yesterday, Adam?
No, yesterday sucked. Pitching just kind of went off the rails. Eliezer Hernandez did well. Yeah. Jake Junis did well. Everyone else kind of sucked. So
unless you had Dakota Hudson and a lot of John Means, which clearly I did not have the latter. Not great. The first question in the chat. Hey, Josh, how'd those Blue Jay stacks work out for you against John Means? Yeah, not great.
Started out well.
Yeah, I was really pumped. Before I even got out of my chair, I immediately had a home run, so I was ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
Only went one direction after that. Let's hit the normal plugs. MLB Strategy is the promo code. One big word. If you use that, you can get up to... you can get 50% off your first month with us. Not up to. You just get the full 50. It's not a game here. We've got content for everything. Baseball, WNBA right now, NHL for today, and then it's over. Golf, we got a ton of content for the U.S. Open coming out right now, which starts tomorrow. NASCAR. God, what am I missing? Other sports that are offered, we have it. So just come check it out. Use the promo code MLB Strategy. And as usual, we are brought to you by Yahoo Sports. If you want to check out Yahoo, and we highly recommend you do, they are the presenting sponsor of this show. They're the presenting sponsor of the Deeper Dive and of the Early Bird podcast. Check out this link that I'm dropping into chat right now. This is the link to EMAC's Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article. This article will contain a link to sign up for Yahoo. If you use that link, use the promo code AWESEMO and get up to, and this time I mean up to, $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. Constantly offering management fee free contests. Believe they have another one up today from what I saw. They do. $3 to get in, 10 max contest. There's only 400 spots left. So if you want to get in that, it's a $4,500 guaranteed contest. I'll put it on the screen right now. But $3 to get in, zero management fee whatsoever. Highly recommend you get in it. You only have 400 spots left, so try to hustle. They're also running a really nice 10K to first, 50K guaranteed PGA contest that locks tomorrow morning, 9:45. Still a little over 1,000 seats remaining. $25 to get in for this one, but a really nice payout structure. Something that I will be taking a closer look at later today. 8 games for us, Adam. Any weather issues that you've seen?
Nope. I think everything looks okay.
I didn't know if your nope was like nope, I haven't seen it, or nope, there aren't.
No, I don't see anything that really matters that much. Like, I think there's some rain around the Baltimore game, but it's supposed to be after the game. There's some rain around the Atlanta game, but as of right now, it doesn't look like it should be an issue.
Okay, perfect. Well, let's just dive into it. It's kind of a unique slate. Pitching's... Well, I like it personally. I'm interested to see where you go, because there's one pitcher that I like a lot that I'm confident you probably won't. It'll be fun.
So you're admitting already that you're wrong on a pitcher?
No. I like this pitcher.
What do you say?
We'll get there when we get there. Huh?
Is it Rick Porcello again?
No. Is he on the slate?
Yeah, he's facing Texas. No, he's on the early slate. Never mind.
I was like, dude, I don't even see I don't see that name or anything here. What did I load today? It's not Rick Porcello. But we'll get into it. First game up, Phillies and Diamondbacks. 5-run implied total for the Phils, 4.1 for the D-backs, 59% chance to win for Philadelphia. Zach Eflin going for the Phillies, Merrill Kelly going for the Diamondbacks. Neither guy getting any real ownership. Eflin at 5% on the 2-pitcher sites. Merrill Kelly not getting anything. I don't really see it as a spot where I expect to prioritize either guy. I don't have an aversion to either pitcher, but I can't imagine that I'm getting any with any volume. Do you like Eflin or Kelly here?
Yeah, I mean that's where I'm at too. Eflin, I think, is a decent pitcher. Strikeouts haven't really been there this year. There are a lot of lefties in the Arizona lineup, most likely, which isn't great for Eflin. And the park obviously plays up home runs. He's not cheap, so I don't think he ends up being a priority for me. Merrill Kelly is even less of a priority because I think he's a worse pitcher. He's facing a Phillies team that certainly has some good bats in their lineup in a park that plays up power. So if I had to go to one of the two, I would lean Eflin, but I don't think either one becomes a priority.
That makes sense to me. Merrill Kelly at $31 on Yahoo has a little bit of intrigue, but it's still pretty minor. Yeah. Bats, however, Phillies looking pretty tasty, as I don't know, they kind of always do for me. Grading out as my number 4 stack on FanDuel, number 4 stack on DraftKings, and just to complete the loop, number 4 on Yahoo as well. Diamondbacks a little bit down, further down the list. Do you have a preference between these two teams if you're trying to target it?
Yeah, I prefer the Phillies bats. They're affordably priced, and I just don't think Merrill Kelly's very good. Eflin has given up power to lefties, so looking to guys like David Peralta or Escobar from Arizona makes sense. But as far as a full stack goes, Kelly has given up more power to righties than lefties this year. 211 ISO allowed to righties, 135 to lefties, 258 expected ISO to righties, 166 to lefties. So that's been an issue for him. The strikeouts are a bit higher against righties, but still only at 20%. So it's not like he becomes a really good strikeout pitcher or something. And you get, a very affordable Rhys Hoskins, JT Realmuto. Harper's cheap against a guy with a 15% strikeout percentage. Bruce is a good enough hitter where, I'll take my chances with him against Kelly. But the Segura, Hoskins, Realmuto middle of this order, I think is pretty appealing. And then you can bookend it with just two good, or a good hitter in Jay Bruce and a formerly good hitter, maybe good again in the future hitter in Bryce Harper.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement. Any concerns with them being the second most owned stack? Well, tied for the most owned stack with the Orioles, but they're currently second. They're both at 11% aggregate. They are 4th on FanDuel right now. Any issues with ownership? I'm assuming
no.
Okay.
No.
Diamondbacks not getting all that much love on DraftKings. Only Peralta is in double digits. Dyson and Peralta both in double digits on FanDuel and Yahoo. I do like the top of the Diamondbacks order a little bit, but outfield, second base / outfield, outfield. They're not really a great team to stack, and it's way harder to try to get good stacks like that on an 8-gamer compared to like a 15, where you need a little bit more help to check off all of those positional boxes. So my focus will definitely be more towards the Phillies, and specifically Harper and Hoskins.
Yeah, David Peralta specifically from Arizona, I really like a lot. He's always been a good hitter. He's got power. If you look at his actual numbers against righties this year, they're not super impressive, but only 148 at bats. He has a 405 expected WOBA, a 284 expected ISO against righties. He's got a track record of being a really good hitter, and he's very affordable.
2 things to point out for Yahoo. Maikel Franco is $7 on Yahoo. I think that's a little interesting. And Christian Walker is $9 on Yahoo if you need another pay down first base option. I think both of those are reasonable at sub $10 price tags. Don't really have much else to say here, though. Talk about your Orioles now, I guess. The other chalk for DraftKings. 5.5 run implied total on both sides. It's a 50-50 game, and boy, oh boy, is this going to be a barn burner. David Hess going for the Orioles. Edwin Jackson going for the Blue Jays. This can certainly be a start between 2 independent league pitchers in like 2 years. This is bad. I don't really know how to throw this to you. I think we both agree that both pitchers suck. That's not necessarily totally valid in a DFS landscape. Will you be playing either Hess or Edwin Jackson?
I wouldn't be shocked if I get some $4,100 Hess on DraftKings. It's the only site where I think that he matters. There's always enough like $7 hitters on Yahoo. I don't think you need to get him at $25 or whatever he is. I would hope he's $25. But yeah, I mean, 4,100.
Hess is not $25, by the way, on Yahoo.
Okay, never mind then.
He's 26.
Okay, that's still about 24 too many.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I rostered 30% of Tanner Anderson the other day. I don't think he's good.
Coffee out.
I don't think he's good. He was $4,000. I'm fine with it. It's the same thing here with Hess. He's certainly not good. He is getting absolutely lit up this season, particularly by right-handed hitters. But he's 4,100, and as long as he doesn't go out there and just completely suck, he's not really going to hurt you at that price as long as the guys that you're able to pay up for do what you want them to.
This game is really, really gross. There are 4 hitters across both lineups that have a weighted runs created plus from Steamer north of 100.
Smoke, Grichuk, Guerrero, and Gurriel, or Mancini.
You got it once you corrected the Mancini.
Yeah.
If I talk about it a little bit, so I do like weighted averages based on plate appearances to see sort of how the team grades out. Weighted runs created plus based on this lineup and their projected order, 87 for the Orioles. That's heading into the game. I don't think that I've seen one lower than that. Thanks to Keon Broxton and Richie Martin being in the 60s.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Oh, there are 3 hitters in this game in the 60s. At least Luke Molly is a catcher. Oh, boy. Yeah. So both teams are chalk. This should be very little surprise. Blue Jays, 10% aggregate on DraftKings. Orioles, 11. They're at the top. They're both in... The Jays are the high chalk on FanDuel. Obviously, the Orioles also quite owned. How do you want to handle this game from an offense perspective? Because, as we just outlined, like they're not very good at offense either.
Yeah, no, I mean, I still want to get to the bats here.
Same.
I was gonna say I prefer the Toronto side, but I don't know. They're pretty similar to me. Jackson's just terrible. And Toronto does have righty power with Guerrero and Grichuk. Gurriel's got some pop. Hernandez has some pop. Smoke from the left side is where you want him. So I guess I would prefer the Toronto side by a little bit, but it's just a really good offensive spot.
Yeah. I think we both agree that we probably prefer the Blue Jays just because they have more power than the Orioles.
Yep.
And that's really the differentiation point. Any concern that Hess is going to go out there and dominate the Blue Jays again like he did at the beginning of the season?
And like 3 times last season?
Yeah.
I think I think the Blue Jays might be the sole reason David Hess is still in the major leagues.
Certainly possible.
But yeah, I mean, the Blue Jays suck. Of course, there's concern that he pitches well.
Oh, man. So this is more of a holistic question for everybody. What's your strategy in games like this where we pretty much agree that neither team is particularly good, the pitching's not very good, but yet everybody is going to be on the hitting? Anything that you do specifically to try to get a little different? I
mean, it's not like I go in and try and do anything differently. I just do whatever like my projections want me to do. But I think that weighting ownership the way that I do, sometimes I'll tend to get a little bit more of like the cheap pitcher and a little bit less of the opposing offense if their ownership really is, off the charts, like higher than I think it should be. That's really what it comes down to, though, is, we talk about it a lot. It's not as simple as just saying like, oh, this team's highly owned, I'm going to go somewhere else. It's a matter of exactly where they're coming in at and exactly where they should be. You can just because someone's the highest owned team, if they're still, most of their hitters are like 8% owned or something, or 10% owned, whatever, like you're still in a fine spot. You don't have to, you can just be different somewhere else. So it really depends on what the actual numbers are for their ownership.
Absolutely. For the Orioles in particular, I think you want to be very cognizant about where you're using people. Renato Nunez right now is projected for 5% ownership, $4,700 first baseman. Chris Davis projected for 2% ownership, $2,900 first baseman. This is DK. Similar story on FanDuel. But Mancini is 5K, has the outfield eligibility. I'm much more likely to want to use Mancini and grab one of those low-owned first basemen. That'll get you a more unique Orioles stack if that's what you're trying to do, and you're paying attention to the construction of your lineup. You might not necessarily need to go to the 16% owned $3,700 Keon Broxton. Just try to get yourself a guy that is less popular. I like paying up for guys that are getting low ownership in chalk stacks to try to be a little different. It's something that Alex has mentioned a couple times on the Yahoo shows. Just try to get this guy because he's completely unowned and he's way too expensive, but that makes your stack more unique. It's kind of what I want to do in a situation like this. Try to pay a little bit more for the guys that aren't getting owned. Like Eric Sogard is at 4% on DraftKings. It's because he's 4,900 and he's not very good. But if no one's going to have him in Blue Jay stacks and everything else is somewhere else, then I'd like to have Sogard at the expense of one of these other guys that are highly owned. I just don't see
Yeah,
a reason to get away from this game.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that I think really goes overlooked, and you can do it pretty much with every team. In this case, Sogard's the example, but there were times like when the Yankees were really popular where Clint Frazier was batting eighth, so nobody would play him, or Gio Urshela was, just Gio Urshela, so nobody would play him. But they're still hitting on a team that you're expecting to do well and that the field's expecting to do well. So you should. It's a really easy way to still have a correlated lineup and be contrarian at the same time.
Yep, completely agree. Favorite bats in this game? I assume that we're on the same page that it's the guys that we talked about that have weighted runs created plus north of 100.
Yeah, Guerrero's number one. Then Smoke Richard Mancini. I would throw a Chance Cisco in there just because he's batting cleanup. He's a catcher. He's probably batting cleanup. He's a catcher.
Yeah.
I think he did make some improvements at AAA this season. I was pulling up his numbers now. Because he struggled when he came up last year to the Orioles. At AAA this year, 241 ISO, plays in a really, really good pitcher's park too. So that's good to see. 132 WRC plus. Seems like maybe he's turning things around a little bit, and he is one of their top prospects. So, there's pedigree there.
There we go. I'm on the same page as you. I like the Chance Cisco call if he is hitting cleanup as a catcher for 3,900. That's a pretty good bargain. It's just, oh man, that is. I mean, this is really like a AAA game with a couple guys on like rehab assignments, basically.
It's a AAA game with AA pitching.
Yeah. Vlad Guerrero was probably like, didn't I get called up?
Right.
What's happening? Do I get service time for this game? It's brutal. Brutal. Who lasts longer this season, Edwin Jackson or David Hess?
David Hess.
Okay.
Because there's some reason for the Orioles to keep him around.
Reasonable. How old is he? He could be 24 or 34, and I have no idea.
Maybe like 26, maybe.
Fair enough.
That's just my random guess.
I picture every bad pitcher to be Edwin Jackson, like 42 years old, getting by on like guts and cream underneath his hat bill and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. Hess is 25. He'll be 26 in a month.
I mean, go buy him a beer or something.
God, he was a 5th round pick.
It is weird to think about how we can just come in here and take like a big steamy dump on top of some of these guys, and they're still making, $500,000 to play this game this season or more.
And they're still insanely good. I mean, that's the thing that gets obviously lost.
Yeah, he's a what, the 99th percentile pitcher on the planet, 98. Yeah. I mean, somewhere very, very near the top. It's craziness to think about, but we hop on here and it's just like he's garbage and 16 out of these 18 hitters are garbage.
All of these major leaguers suck at baseball.
Yeah. Relative to other major leaguers, they do.
Right.
That's the key takeaway. But I don't think that no matter how bad David Hess is, if I step up into that box, he's probably going to break me down in 3 pitches. At this point, I'm not confident that I can turn the trunk like I used to. 3.6 run implied total for the Marlins, 4.4 for the Cards, 59% chance to win for St. Louis. Jordan Yamamoto going for Miami. My guy, Miles Michaelis going for the Cards. He's getting more ownership than I expected, so I'm less interested right now. 20% on Yahoo, 11 on FanDuel, 29% on DK. Michaelis is my 3rd favorite pitcher of the entire slate, so I'm curious to get your thoughts on my man, Miles Michaelis.
Whatever, he's fine. He's one of my least favorite DFS pitchers because he doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, but he's facing the Marlins in Miami. He's reasonably priced. I don't have a problem with it. It's the same as Hudson and Waka. He's better than both of them.
Yeah,
but he's also priced higher. But it's a good matchup. He's a good enough pitcher. I don't have a strong take either way.
Yeah, I can't get away from him Jordan Yamamoto is more expensive than him today on DraftKings.
Jordan Yamamoto probably has more strikeout upside too, but
Per steamer, it's comparable. I just like this could be a spot where Miles Michaelis throws a Maddox, goes out there, 92 pitches, throws 9 innings, and just you get. This is what I mentioned in Spotlight Pitchers. You're rostering him more for the volume than anything else.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about that before. Taking with guys against Miami that aren't huge strikeout pitchers, they're just getting quick outs.
Yeah,
and so they get deep into the game. And it's not like Michaelis Waka. There was at least some risk because he gets blown up. But like Hudson he's good at getting outs. He's just not good at making them strikeouts. And the same thing goes for Michaelis.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if Miles Michaelis went 8 innings here and just was able to completely neutralize the Marlins. And that's sort of the appeal for me. I would imagine I end up with a lot more than the 29% that we're projecting on DK. I'm pretty confident I end up with more than the 11% that he has on FanDuel right now. And on Yahoo, he is $37, 20% owned. I think that looks all pretty reasonable, but you're pretty much willing to take any pitcher against the Marlins so long as they're not priced weird.
Yeah, as long as they're not getting the Mike Soroka treatment.
Right. Do you plan on looking at Yamamoto? $28 on Yahoo, $7,500 on DraftKings.
Probably not. Just seems kind of unnecessary. He hasn't pitched above AA, I don't think.
Correct.
Yeah. Tough matchup against a pretty good Cardinals team. I doubt that I really get there.
Yeah, same page here, man. Same page. In terms of ownership, obviously the Marlins are not owned with any sort of large volume. Cardinals not getting much either. Only the 4.4 run implied total. We have 5 teams at 5 or more. We've got 2 more at 4.9 just here for me. So, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 6, 5 run implied total. So do you want to target Cardinals bats here?
They're a team I never really mind getting to. In this park, I don't think it's the best spot, but they do have pretty reasonable price tags against a guy who has no experience in upper level baseball. Carpenter, DeYoung, Goldschmidt, Ozuna, these guys all have power. Molina's a cheap catching option. So yeah, I do have some interest in the Cardinals.
Yeah, they stack up well. Third, short, first, outfield catcher in your first 5 spots in the batting order is always helpful. They're talented. No one denies their skill set. They've got... There it is. So they have 5 guys with a weighted runs created plus north of 100. More so than the entire Orioles-Blue Jays game combined. Hell, the Marlins have 4 guys that high, which is... Well, it's not like... Oh, I see why they have 4 guys like that. So, how do you think the Marlins would be if they had the Mariners lineup? Because I pasted the Mariners lineup into the Marlins.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, that's really weird to me that the Marlins have 4 above average hitters in their lineup.
Yeah, it was really weird to me, too. And I was like, well, they do find good talent. They just give it away. But, yeah. I was wondering why that looked so wonky. Well, the good news is I'm probably going to like Miles Michaelis a little bit more. Let me go ahead and update that so I can make sure that I'm talking about it. I looked at it and I was like, Dan Vogelbach is not on the Marlins. So I did have a blank in the Mariners earlier today. I was like, I guess I just skipped it. Nope, put it in the wrong team. Mistakes. Too early for some of this stuff. Didn't have enough coffee flowing through the old veins. Perfect time to like this video and subscribe. If you subscribe, you'll get notifications for when we go live, and that is generally helpful. Make sure you subscribe to our Twitter account, at Awesemo_com. Last night we had some issues with the YouTube stream not being able to go out. There were some widespread streaming issues. So we were live on Periscope. We were live on Twitch. We broadcast to all 3 spots. So if you ever get to a point where we should be doing a show and you can't seem to figure out why we're not, go ahead and check our Twitter stream and make sure that we actually are live, because you can go watch us on a different mechanism. We're out there in multiple ways, just so those sorts of things don't happen. Makes it easier. All right. Marlins lineup is pasted in. Miles Michaelis. Actually, he fell a bit.
That's weird.
They strike out less than the Mariners project to strike out, so kind of makes a little bit of sense to me. The run totals aren't changing. That stuff was already in there correctly, so he's basically just getting slightly less strikeouts. Are you recommending any Marlins bats outside of Granderson?
No.
Same here.
If you have to get to like a really cheap Starlin Castro or JT Riddle, then whatever, they're really cheap.
Yeah. Really tough spot here. Hard to punish Miles Michaelis. Favorite Cardinals bat?
Carpenter.
Yeah, agreed. Has he rebounded at all?
I don't know. It's just not something I look at.
I mean, same. Just curious, at some point in time, I want to make sure that it's not just continually getting worse and we find out that Matt Carpenter is legit washed. I'm checking it out now. 95 weighted runs created plus this season. Not looking good for old Matt.
I mean, he's 33 years old. It would be really weird if he just suddenly is bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Wonder what's up with him. Alrighty. We can move on to the Atlanta Braves hosting the Pittsburgh Pirates. Braves 4.9 run implied total. Pirates 3.6, 64% chance to win for the Braves. Mike Soroka going for Atlanta. Mitch Keller going for the Pirates. Keller not getting any ownership across the board. Soroka 15% on Yahoo, 5 on FanDuel, 7 on DraftKings. I can't imagine playing Mike Soroka knowing that Justin Verlander is $400 more expensive, or $500 more expensive on FanDuel. Do you have any interest in Soroka here? Because this is a pretty terrible spot.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, you're talking about, like you said, he's priced almost the same as Verlander. Verlander has struck out 30.9% of hitters. Soroka has struck out 21.9%. Soroka's got a higher walk percentage. He's been really good, but he's still needs to basically go deep into games. And it's not like this is a great strikeout matchup against Pittsburgh either.
Right. That's sort of the thing for me. I can't spend all the way up when there's a guy with much better strikeout stuff barely ahead of him, and Soroka has, one of the worst strikeout matchups in the league for today. So just not for me. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that you're not on Mitch Keller.
I'd like to be, but I don't think I really get there too much.
Talk to me about that then.
Well, I mean, I don't like the matchup or anything. I just think Keller's got really good strikeout stuff. So it's kind of appealing, but I just kind of don't think I get there on this particular slate.
I think we found Emac's burner account. Jack Singh in chat says, "This shit my money guy seems so disinterested and just isn't a good watch. I like when that one older guy that comes on the streams, he always has cool stories and jokes."
Definitely Emacs account.
Hi, Emac. Or should I say Jask Singh? Just remember, I'm on to you, Emac. I'm on to you. Emac is pretty cool. Yeah, that's Emac for sure. Interesting you're going with that name, Emac, but, do what you need to do, man. You thought you'd pull one over on us, but we're too crafty for that stuff. It's not our first rodeo, man. Sneaky Emac. Creating YouTube burner accounts while he's at work.
Kevin Durant-esque.
This is not Emac in all caps.
That's what I would expect Emac to say.
Yeah, typical Emac response. I love stuff like this. It's the stuff that really makes me happy. What the hell? These guys think I'm Emac. Kudos. Kudos, fake Emac. Kudos. All right, so let's talk Braves bats here. Freeman and when did Freddie Freeman become 5,600?
Today. He was 51 yesterday.
Oh, boy. I mean, I like the first 4 guys in the Braves stack, but it's not a great park. Keller's solid. Do you expect to get to Braves? They have the implied total. They have 9% aggregate ownership, so they're somewhere around 5th on both sites. What do you want to do with these guys?
Yeah, I'd be kind of surprised. I mean, the implied run total is there, like you said, but I just buy into Keller. I mean, he's one of the top pitching prospects. He has really good stuff. At AAA this season, he's striking out 30% of hitters. He's walking 10%. His ground ball percentage is respectable at 43%. Also has a 16% infield fly ball percentage. So over half the balls hit against him are either ground balls or pop-ups. And then he's striking out 30% of hitters. He's got an elevated line drive percentage, but that's about the only negative thing you could really say there. I think he's good and not someone that I really like targeting against. On the other hand, he's making, I think, his second major league start. So things can clearly go wrong, and the Braves are a good offense. But it's just tough for me when you have, David Hess pitching, and you have Edwin Jackson pitching, and you have Merrill Kelly pitching, to want to target against Mitch Keller all that much.
15% projected ownership for Ronald Acuna right now for 5,300. You don't see that all that often. Like, I feel like you don't ever see Austin Meadows getting to that.
Well, yeah.
But you know where I'm going with that, though? Like, I feel like he slips through the cracks for some reason.
Acuna?
No, Meadows. Like, he's always, he's leading off. He's always in this mid-5s range, and I always feel like his ownership is like 2%, 3%, something like that. But to see Acuna getting to 15, I mean, I guess 8-game slate is probably carrying a little bit of weight there, but I'm really surprised to see this much ownership going to Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably because they have one of the higher implied run totals.
Right.
And, I mean, Acuna is freakishly good.
Yeah. Could have done without that grand slam 2 nights ago.
Yeah, I could have done without the 3-run shot that he hit the game before to tie it.
Yeah, so that one really helped me and put me at the top of the beanball, so I'm cool with it. I kind of needed one more hit, and I would have won the quarter, too. But I probably
I hope you weren't watching that game then, because he flew out to the warning track like twice in his last 2 at-bats.
Yeah, I was watching the game at that point just to try to sweat it a little bit. He had them loaded in extras, and I was just like, I don't know what to cheer for right now, because I know I'm definitely going to win a tournament if he goes yard, but I don't know if it's negatively going to impact where I actually stood with my other entries, because he was a one-off in those spots. Like, it wasn't attached to a Brave stack, so I didn't know what the impact would be for it.
Yeah, I was in second or third in one of the FanDuel GPPs, and somebody like half a point behind me had Acuna with like the bases loaded as the Marlins bring in whatever trash lefty they brought in. So I felt pretty lucky to get out of that without getting past.
Speaking of beanball, Josh, did you see who binked it last night? That's coming from Jake. I didn't.
I'm going to guess Jake.
I would have guessed Jake too, but I feel like I would have already known that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jake, I hope you didn't bink the beanball. Well, I hope you did financially, but I don't want you to have the ability to talk about it. I'll never root against money. I'm pulling it up now, but I figure chat will get to me before it. Yep, Tommy Nation won. Son of a bitch. Congrats, Jake. Congrats. Oh, I was like, how did you bink with Darwin's and Hernandez at 21 points? But that's my lineup. Oh no, he binked with Hernandez at 29 though. You see, Jake, you won it on a joke slate.
I think it was in our chat. I screenshotted the top 10 at one point on the DraftKings leaderboard last night, and was just like, this is the top 10 in the tournament. I'm cool with taking an L on this slate. Yeah,
for sure. Wow, got there without the Nolan Arenado double dong too.
Well, Rendon. Did he ever?
That's what I meant.
Oh, yeah.
I meant Rendon. Got there without the Rendon double dong, but had Colorado. Wow, what am I doing? I'm confusing these two baseball players now in my head. Anthony Rendon,
Nationals. Yeah.
Nolan Arenado, Rockies. Didn't double dong. Get me out of this one. Congrats to Jake for banking the beanball. Osimo staff owns that tournament. Any Pirates bats that you have any interest in?
Not really. Soroka's good.
Yeah.
There's nobody that really stands out. From a talent standpoint, Josh Bell is affordable, and so is Polanco with a park upgrade, but I just don't really see myself getting to it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. They're not really getting any ownership. They're actually dead last on DraftKings, and at best dead last, tied for dead last on FanDuel. So Pirates not going to be all that popular. And if Soroka's not getting any ownership, then I really have no interest in the Pirates. There's really no utility there. Heading to the 8 o'clock games now. Uh-oh. Color changed on the bit rate for the video. I was wondering. I was starting to think that we were about to drop the stream. 5.4 run implied total for the Twins. 3.8 for the Mariners. 66% chance to win for Minnesota. I think that dude changed his YouTube name to definitely not EMAC.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and shout out to the boss man, other boss man, Tom. Big night last night as well. So
That 2 or 3 nights in a row.
yeah, having a decent run of it this week. Jose Barrios going for Minnesota. Tommy Malone going for the Mariners. The Mariners this time, not a makeshift Mariners lineup playing in Miami. Barrios, 29% ownership on Yahoo, 17 on FanDuel, 15 on DraftKings. He is my number 2 guy for today. I'm a little surprised that he's getting so little ownership on DK, but I guess that's just because of Verlander. How do you feel about him here?
I think it's an okay spot for him. I have him projected as my baseline projections have him as my 5th highest scoring pitcher. So I kind of doubt that I get to a lot of him at that price tag. He is a lot better at home throughout his career,
Right.
So that's good. At least there are strikeouts in the Seattle lineup, but again, he's kind of it seems like he's kind of taken a different approach this season. He's only struck out 22.9% of hitters, but he's only walking 4.4%. So it's good from a real life standpoint, but from a DFS standpoint, like for anyone that plays golf, it's kind of like how it's better to roster a guy who goes, birdie, bogey than a guy that shoots 4 straight pars.
Right.
Trading off strikeouts for fewer walks in DFS isn't really that useful.
Absolutely. You don't want to be more like Miles Michaelis.
Right.
Apparently. I want you to. Most people don't. I'm going to have more than the field if he stays at 15% for sure. I won't get to as much like Lucchesi or probably Brandon Woodruff. Although
Did you say Mike Lucchesi?
Like Lucchesi.
Oh, okay.
No. I'm not confusing pitchers now as well. I just expect to have a little bit more on DK. On FanDuel, where he's 17%, I figure I'll be somewhere in that neighborhood just because of Seattle's ability to strike out. And while I don't tend to look at those home road splits, he really is different at home.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care that much. It's just that at this point, I think it's at least worth pointing out because I know some people care about it more than I do, and I'm not gonna tell them not to pay attention to that because we're talking, almost 3 years now of Barrios being a completely different pitcher in Minnesota. Also, though, whenever a pitcher kind of drops off with their strikeout stuff, like he has, last year struck out 25.5%, and this year he's at 22.9. I will, make sure I look at some of the advanced metrics that I look at for pitching, and they kind of don't show him improving anytime soon in that regard either. Called strike plus swinging strike percentage, he's at 29.7%, which puts him 39th out of 128 starters with 750 pitches thrown this year. It puts him just behind Dylan. It puts him right in the middle of Woodruff, Bundy, Corbin, Greinke. So it's not like it's bad company, but it's not elite pitchers there. And then his 2-strike percentage, he ranks 53rd out of those same 128 pitchers, between Matz, Lynn, Nola, Gibson. So it's not like he's posting ace-like underlying numbers, and it's just not resulting in strikeouts.
That's a really good point. Do you have any interest in Tommy Malone? I couldn't even say it with a straight face.
Really tough spot. I don't buy into what he's done so far this year either, or anyway. He has a track record of being a pretty mediocre to below average pitcher.
Yeah.
He's facing a Twins lineup that is really difficult to strike out. They have a ton of power. And I think his numbers are just inflated by a couple of early matchups with Texas, which is one of the most favorable matchups that you get for left-handed pitching. So I'm much more interested in Twins bats than Tommy Malone.
Yeah, I have no interest whatsoever. He's not getting any ownership. Twins are the biggest favorite on the slate. So speaking of Twins, 4th most ownership on DraftKings, 4th most ownership on FanDuel. This is a spot where I'm happy to be north of the field on some of these guys. There's a ton of power up and down this Minnesota lineup. They grade out really, really well. I can't imagine not wanting to have an absolute ton of Minnesota. They're my 2nd best stack dollar for dollar on both FanDuel and DK. Just got to get there for me.
Yep, I agree.
18% expected ownership on DK, 27 on FanDuel for Nelson Cruz. Going to be chalk. Paid that off a couple days ago when he was aggressive chalk, but I mean, Eddie Rosario, I don't care that it's lefty-lefty. CJ Cron, 8% expected ownership right now. Outside of Nelson Cruz, everybody is 12% or below, and on an 8-game slate, I don't think that's nearly enough for a team with this much power.
Yeah. I went back to double check and see who Malone had faced this season. I knew he'd faced Texas twice, but I couldn't remember the other two. He's been on just like both ends of the spectrum. He went Texas, and then Angels, Houston.
Whew.
He's much more on the Angels, Houston side of the spectrum here.
Yes, he is. Any Mariners bats against Berrios, though?
Not unless they're really cheap, which they aren't. Kyle Seager, I guess, would be okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with Seager. I'm fine with Vogelbach at 4,200, honestly.
How's Berrios are holding runners? I don't remember.
No idea.
I'm looking.
Jake, you're in chat. How good is Berrios at holding runners? You're the owner and manager of the Minnesota Jakes. You should know this information. Too busy binking beanballs to care.
He has...
Wow, Jake binked the beanball, and I had one of 20 finish in the money.
Wow. Berrios has allowed as many stolen bases this season already as he did last season. So that's something to pay attention to. For his career, every season prior in his career, he graded out his average of holding runners. This year, he's slightly below average. 8 stolen bases allowed. Last year, he allowed 8. The year before that, he allowed 6. So I would say that it's a decent running spot from Alex Smith at the top.
Okay. Yeah, that makes some sense. Grades out well. 13% expected ownership on DK, so maybe the information is already out there. Tough team to stack. Can't imagine really wanting to get there, but one-offs for some of their power bats like Encarnacion or Vogelbach, and Seager, not going to drive me too crazy. Houston. Let's talk about the top end of pitching. 3.8 run implied total for the Astros, 3.6 for the Brewers, 53% chance to win for Houston. Justin Verlander going for the Stros, Brandon Woodruff going for Milwaukee. I mean, I'd be shocked if anybody had an assessment that Justin Verlander isn't the best pitcher on this slate. He's 59 on Yahoo, 11-1 on FanDuel, 11-3 on DK, getting massive ownership across the board. He's chalk everywhere. It's a really scary spot, though.
I was going to say, he's my top projected pitcher, but at least with the way my baseline projections are looking right now, I kind of doubt I don't get a ton. I kind of doubt that I get a ton, is what I was trying to say there.
Great words there.
Yeah, I mean, I have him projected as the top scorer, but
Sure.
I don't have it being one of those slates where he projects 6 points better than everyone else or anything like that. I think that even though mid-range pitching on this slate's pretty dicey, I think there's enough upside and enough good matchups. Like you have Michaelis in a good matchup. You have Brandon Woodruff with a ton of just strikeout stuff on his own. Guys like that and bats that I want to pay for that. I don't know. I think that there's a decent chance I don't get tons of Verlander here at that price tag.
Yeah, I don't. He's 42% owned on DK right now at 11-3. I think that I'll probably be in that neighborhood because there is no one like him on this slate. If you put aside who he's playing, Verlander is not comparable to anyone else that is pitching today.
Yeah, I agree with that. And
so I think that there's sort of like a floor of ownership for him where I can't imagine just like not being there no matter what's going on. But I agree with you that it's more muted than it normally is. It's kind of scary just because, while the Brewers do strike out, I mean, it's just this sea of lefty power. Well, I mean, it's just a sea of power, but lefty power in particular, he's going to have to be on his shit.
To his credit, he strikes out way more lefties than righties.
Does he really?
Yeah, 38.2% strikeout percentage against lefties, 23.6 against righties.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Him and Garrett Cole, both.
Would not have expected it to be that extreme.
Last season, it was 38.8 to 31.4. So the lefty numbers have held. The righty numbers have just dropped this year.
Would you agree probably liking Verlander a lot more on FanDuel than DK?
Yep.
So what do
I
you
don't even know his price, but yes.
Yeah, so he is 11-1 on FanDuel, Soroka 10-6, Berrios 9-6.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that he kind of has more value because of the way FanDuel is compared to DraftKings.
Right, completely agree there. Different play on a two-pitcher site, but still, anybody that says that he doesn't have the highest projection on this slate, you should not be using those projections.
Agreed.
What do you want to do with Brandon Woodruff, though? 7% ownership on Yahoo, 3 on FanDuel, 17 on DraftKings, where he's 7,600. Taking on an Astros team that, if this projected lineup comes in, it's like 5 guys that don't strike out at all, and a couple guys that strike out a ton.
Right. So I mean, Jordan Alvarez being added to the Astros lineup, while it does put another really good power bat in there, it does increase. It gives you a strikeout guy, so that's at least good for pitching. But I think it's DraftKings specific. You kind of laid it out with the ownership there, but at 7,600, you're talking about a guy with a near 30% strikeout percentage, and he's doing it against both sides of the plate. 29.6 to lefties, 29.5 to lefties, 29.6 to righties, 268 expected WOBA with no power to righties, 321 expected WOBA with like a 162 ISO to lefties. He's just been a pretty good pitcher, and at that price tag, he can get away with some mistakes against a tough Astros team. It is a watered down Astros lineup still without Altuve or Correa or Springer. So yeah, I do have interest in Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah, same. That Astros lineup is just really weird. I find it hard to recalibrate your head after knowing how you approach the Astros more often than not. Just you get so used to having all of those guys in the lineup that they're just like a mental cross off, and then you think about it and it's like, okay, well, they are missing a couple of their star players, but then it's just like half this lineup doesn't all strike out at like 14% of the time, which is craziness.
Right.
And it's like, okay, maybe this is just still an awful matchup, but Brandon Woodruff is good. So I'm happy to target him a little bit. What I'm really curious to see is, what do you want to do with a Brewers team that is going basically unowned, 4% aggregate ownership on DraftKings, even less so on FanDuel? Is this a spot where you kind of just make sure you grab some Brewer stacks?
I could see that just because they're such a talented offense. The thing that makes it annoying is that like Christian Yelich is still 5,700, Moustakas is still 4,700. You get a nice price tag with like $4,000 Randall. Travis Shaw obviously is like the minimum, but
yeah,
it's not like they're really cheap. So you're kind of sacrificing other spots in your lineup just to stack against Justin Verlander.
Sure, I'm with you. I mean, I'm going to have some 5-man Brewer stacks for sure. 8-game slate, no doubt about it, just because of their power. Don't get the sense that I'll have a ton of volume just because I'm still going to have Verlander. But of all the spots that you could possibly get to, Justin Verlander against the Brewers, I think I'm willing to have a little bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, I think one kind of frequently asked question whenever I do office hours is, do I change my approach at all on these, smaller or mid-range slates compared to huge slates? And one thing that I do a little bit more is I pay more attention to leveraging on these slates because you just get higher ownership.
Yeah.
On big slates, your highest owned pitcher a lot of times is still going to be like 25-30%. On slates like this, there's less pitching to choose from, so you get Justin Verlander just naturally bumped up higher, which gives you more value in having whoever he's facing. And in this case, it happens to be a team with a lot of power. I think Verlander wins this matchup the vast majority of the time, but there's just so much power in this team, and you are passing 40% of the field if they come through. So
Sure.
on slates like this, I do kind of look to take spots like that a little bit more.
Yeah, the slate size is very important here. If we're getting a pitcher that's like 50% owned on DraftKings on a 14-gamer, we probably agree with it.
Right.
Chris Sale is 9,900 or something stupid, and it's just like, okay, well, I see what we're doing here. Jake DeGrom a couple days ago,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
ended up going to the garbage.
He scored like 26 points. He was okay.
Wait, really?
Yeah. That's how egregious his price tag was. He had a bad start, and he still just like crushed his price tag.
I thought didn't he get bombed?
No, he gave up like 2 runs, struck out like 9 in 6 innings or something.
Sure, you're not
Maybe
thinking about
runs.
Syndergaard?
No, you're talking about against the Rockies, right?
I don't remember,
He
man.
was 9,600 against the Rockies. And he scored like 25 or 26.
Yeah, he did 10 Ks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody.
But it was just one of those starts where it was like he didn't like break the slate, so it was annoying, but he was good. Yeah, and no, I mean that's the point. Like the other day, Sale at 60%. Yeah, you could have leverage stacked against him, but he was 60% because he was such an obvious play. I just played 100%.
Right, I'm with you there. Any Brewers bets that stand out most to you relative to their salary? Obviously,
there's nobody that I think like grades out well against Verlander. You're not gonna, even if there's someone on the team that hits like hard fastballs well, that doesn't mean they hit Justin Verlander's fastball well.
Right.
You're just hoping that he makes a mistake to one of these hitters and that they catch it. There's no real way to know which one that is.
Absolutely. Any Astros bats against Brandon Woodruff?
Alvarez is still cheap.
Yeah.
Bregman's okay. I mean, Bregman's really good.
Sure.
On this slate, he's okay.
Yeah, I don't get the sense that I'll have a ton of Astros here. But I agree. Alvarez is cheap. Derek Fisher is leading off, so that's mildly interesting. He's $9 on Yahoo. I think that's kind of appealing. And then Bregman is just good, so he transcends matchup. But yeah, not a lot to like. I'm more likely to have a lot more Brewers bats than Astros, that's for sure. 2 games to go. Perfect time to hit that like button. Royals and Tigers. 4.9 run implied total for the Royals. 4.1 for the Tigers. 58% chance to win for Kansas City. Danny Duffy going for the Royals. Daniel Norris going for the Tigers. Danny Duffy, 28% ownership on Yahoo. 16 on FanDuel. 29 on DraftKings. Similarly speaking, Daniel Norris, 18% ownership on DK. I'm not particularly fond of either one of these guys. Do you expect to get to Duffy or Norris?
Duffy's grading out really well in my baseline stuff, which scares me. And I'm trying to quickly, as we talk, dig into his stuff and see if I can at least find something that makes me feel okay about that.
Yeah.
He's facing a right-handed heavy lineup this season. His strikeout numbers against righties are much worse than lefties. He struck out 16.5% of righties compared to 27% of lefties. He's done an okay job against them, but still like a 340 expected WOBA, 169 expected ISO. That's not great. The Tigers certainly aren't good, but they do have a lot of right-handed bats. One thing that I did notice, just kind of looking quickly at Duffy, is that he's had some tough matchups recently. His most recent start was against Boston. His fastball velocity there actually ticked up to 93 miles an hour, which is good. He faced the Angels 4 starts ago, the Yankees 3 starts ago. He has 2 starts this year against the Angels, 1 against Houston, 1 against the Yankees, 1 against Boston. So he's gotten 3 favorable starts against 2 against Texas, 1 against Tampa, and then 5 just really tough spots. So his numbers over those 8 starts, might be a little bit skewed by those matchups. He's done a pretty good job of getting swings and misses in some of those starts. I think he's fine. I'm not comfortable with how highly I have him projected at the moment, but I know I'll be getting to him.
Yeah, I don't get the sense that I'll have too much. I greatly prefer Michaelis and I greatly prefer Woodruff, and that's 2 guys within $200 of him in either direction. So he's the 3rd best guy for me out of everybody from 7,200 to 7,600, and at that point, you're probably going to get pinched out.
Yeah.
And there's still another guy below Danny Duffy that I would prefer over him. But what do you want to do with Norris? 18% expected ownership. Look, I get the Royals aren't very good and all, but there's another game where only 4 players have a weighted runs created plus north of 100. Can you name them?
On the Royals?
Combined in this game.
Oh, for what period of time?
Steamer projection.
Oh, okay. Merrifield, Mondesi,
You
Castellanos.
got neither of those 2 correct, by the way.
Oh, Steamer's insane then. I don't even care.
Castellanos is correct.
Yeah.
3 of them are on the Tigers.
It should be Stewart, Castellanos, Merrifield, Mondesi.
It is Stewart, Castellanos, Soler, and Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah, okay.
Mondesi, 88.
Yeah, okay.
Merrifield, 98. So it's not, we're close.
Yeah, Steamer's a little bit broken.
A little bit there. What do we want to touch on here? 18% ownership for Norris at 5K. Like, is he the best low-priced guy, I guess?
I mean, is he better than Edwin Jackson or David Hess? Yeah, he is.
You can make a case for Edwin Jackson.
I didn't hear what you said.
You can make a case for Edwin Jackson in this spot.
Being better than Daniel Norris?
For today's matchup, yes.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
I don't think that it should be 18-2 in ownership.
No, probably not, but I would prefer Norris.
Okay.
I think
Jake
Norris
with
is
the Miguel Cabrera LMAO.
What?
Jake with the Miguel Cabrera LMAO.
Yeah.
Agreed.
No, but I mean, I think Norris is like an average pitcher. In the past, when he's been healthy, he's actually shown some strikeout upside. We haven't seen that really this year, but I think that there's I would much rather get Norris than Jackson.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. Royals are at 7% aggregate ownership on DK, 9 on FanDuel. That's basically like sixth or seventh. I don't think they look all that good as a stack, and they are pretty expensive at the top. But if Daniel Norris is getting 18% ownership on DK, like I'm happy to get some Royals.
Trying to remember, for some reason, I feel like Norris is bad at holding runners, even though he's a lefty. That could be completely wrong. I'm pulling it up now, but if he is, that makes the Royals a lot more appealing, obviously, because that's
and the
what
Tigers are going completely unowned. So I'm curious if you have any interest there.
Castellanos for sure.
Yeah. And noted slugger Miguel Cabrera. Miguel Cabrera with the highest weighted runs created plus in this game, by the way.
Yeah, okay. This season, Norris has allowed 3 stolen bases in 62 innings. Last year, he allowed 3 in 44. That's what I was thinking. 2017, he allowed 15 stolen bases in 101 innings.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, but seems like he's maybe fixed whatever he was doing there. So not a good running matchup, but I expect Kansas City will still try if they get on base. But I mean, it's really, really tough to pay $5,600 for Mondesi or even $4,800 for Merrifield, given some other options on the slate.
Yeah, I agree. Ted says Miggy will eat his way out of baseball. He might, but he's going to be doing it on like caviar and crab legs and all sorts of good stuff because he's making bank.
Yeah.
He's going to eat his way through baseball. He's going to do it in the best way possible. Buys a lot of In-N-Out or I don't know. What Detroit style pizza, I guess, is probably what he's eating a lot of. I don't know.
I believe that's called Little Caesars.
What?
I said I believe that's called Little Caesars.
No. Detroit style pizza is good. Block cheddar on the top.
Wait, is that a real thing?
Yeah, kind of like deep dish in the structure, but not in like the casserole-iness of it all. More like a thick Sicilian, but cheese is a little different. The way the sauce gets put on is a little different. It's good stuff.
I just pretend no pizza exists outside of New York.
That's a bad strategy. I'm team pizza across the board. It's all different. It's all good.
Yeah, it is all different, and New York's the best.
Depends on the day. Do you believe in the concept that like the first pizza you've ever had is like the building blocks of the way that you like pizza?
I mean, I guess that would make sense, but I don't know. Yeah. I mean, the pizza I remember from as a kid was New York style.
Right.
So
that's what I mean. That seems to be like the prevailing wisdom that whatever pizza you learned as a child is the pizza that you consider to be real pizza. Have you had
Emos in St. Louis?
No.
That's like the weirdest pizza I've had, I think.
Is that like a cracker crust?
Well, did you see like the pizza or like the Barstool thing the other day?
I've never seen anything that Barstool has ever done.
Okay,
sorry, Chris Spags. Never saw you before this.
Well, no, they like just reviewed it, and that's like exactly what they said about it.
Is it?
But yeah, I mean, it's like little squares, and it's got Provel cheese, which is a cheese I had never had before, and I don't know, it just tastes totally different. But I kind of laughed when I saw the review because they reacted like the same way I feel like every East Coast person that moves to St. Louis like reacts, because you're eating it and it's just like, it's good, I think, but it's weird and not really pizza, but it's still pizza. I don't know. It's definitely worth trying. It's just weird.
Yeah, I'm down for any pizza. Obviously, as the guy that ate 100 pizza bites on a live stream, I'm clearly well versed in the pizza game. I'm in for all of it, but sometimes sometimes it's not pizza. It's a casserole. Sorry, Tom. I know you're sitting in Chicago right now, just angrily eating another slice of casserole. I just want pizza. Never heard of Barstool pizza reviews. Shake my head. No, I've heard of them. I choose not to watch them because I have no interest in Barstool's content.
Oh yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I just happened to watch it because it was Emos.
Yeah, I'm very familiar. I didn't even watch the ones where I have like Bill Burr and stuff on. Love Bill Burr.
Yeah, know that.
Not for me.
Yeah, no, I don't like the site, but I was interested because it was Emos and they had just like the same exact reaction that I did.
I didn't realize how monstrous it was. Like I never followed it. Like I think I was like 2 years too late.
I followed it when I was in college and it was just totally different than it is now.
Yeah, like I never, like by that time I was already gone, I think, and like it never became a thing for me. It just kind of missed my window. Final game. Giants and Padres. 3.6 run implied total for the Giants, 3.8 for the Pods, 54% chance to win for San Diego. John Anderson going for the Giants. Joey Lucchese going for the Pods. Anderson, 8% ownership on Yahoo, 1 on FanDuel, 10% on DK, 6,600. This is the guy that I mentioned before, below Michaelis. I greatly prefer Sean Anderson to Daniel Norris here. I would rather pay 6,600 for Anderson, and I expect to be north of that 10% number. Do you have interest in Anderson?
I have some. I mean, the Padres strike out a lot. They have a lot of right-handed bats. Anderson's a decent prospect, number 8 in the Giants organization. Struck out 25% at AAA this year. He's only struck out 13% so far in the majors, but it's a small sample size. Probably comes in somewhere in between. It's fine. I'm fine if I get there. It's a good park. It's a San Diego team with a lot of strikeouts. He has had decent matchups so far and hasn't really taken advantage. Is like the one thing that I guess would concern me.
Just to close the loop on pizza, Tom chiming in. He was raised on New York City style. Agree on Chicago. St. Louis pizza isn't edible. So just wanted to drop that in. I've never had a slice of pizza where I was like, I can't continue to eat this. So there is no scenario where I wouldn't eat pizza, except for the night of the Champions League final where I left it in the oven for 45 minutes and it was just a carbon brick. Yeah. Probably not that appealing. Yeah, I'm going to end up with some Sean Anderson here just because this park is intriguing to me. And the Padres offense is average. It's got some scary power, but it's pretty much all coming from the right side outside of Eric Hosmer. I'm willing to navigate that a little bit on an 8-game slate just because we're in San Francisco. What do you want to do with Lucchese? $42 on Yahoo. So do you know Yahoo like really dramatically changes people's pricing on a day-to-day basis? So like, you said they do. So I didn't refresh my CSVs this morning, didn't notice it, posted spotlight pictures, and somebody was like, that's not Joey Lucchese's price. And I was like, okay. He was like low 30s yesterday, but they bump him up to 43 today because he's starting. They don't like just maintain normal starting prices.
That's obviously something to pay attention to on days where someone gets bumped up or something.
Right. So, because I was just like, wow, like, dude, Joey Lucchese should not be at this price. He is actually a good pitcher, and to have this game in San Francisco, like, people should be smashing this. Immediately wrong.
Yeah.
What do you want to do with Lucchese? 29% ownership on Yahoo, 15 FanDuel, 14 DK, where he is 9,600.
Yeah, I think I'll get to a lot of Lucchese here. I have him projected slightly higher than Berrios. I have him behind Verlander, but obviously you get a big price discount there. Just looking at the way my baseline stuff is right now, I expect that Lucchese ends up being my SP1 in a lot of tournament lineups.
Interesting. So I have Berrios 2.9 points ahead of Lucchese on DraftKings. I have Lucchese behind Soroka.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't Lucchese, Berrios, Soroka.
Okay, so that's where we're differing a little bit there. It's possible that I don't have Lucchese going deep enough in this game. Do you know if he's made any changes this season to be going deeper?
It's still just a total like crapshoot. Like there are some games where I think it just really depends on how the game is going and when he comes up in the order. Because it's like some games he throws 96 to 100. Other games he gets pulled at like 80, even when he's pitching well or reasonably well. So, that's the big risk with him.
Are we on the same page that we wish the DH was in both leagues?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so I put Lucchese in for 5.4 innings, and that's, making me not really get to him at all. I just don't ever know what to do with him. Like, I gave him a bump. His rolling 365-day average for innings in a game is 5.1. So I tend to give everybody at most like an extra hook. But like if he went 6 here against San Francisco, and it's not like anybody's going to be surprised. This is the best best environment you can find outside of, I guess, pitching in Miami against the Marlins.
Yeah.
It's an interesting spot. I don't get the sense that I'll have a lot, but he is someone that I probably want to dig into. Do you expect to get to any offense outside of like the crazy sluggers from San Diego?
No, I mean that's pretty much like the pricing on San Diego is okay. Machado is still cheap. Reyes is cheaper than he should be. San Francisco doesn't downplay right-handed power as much as it does left-handed power. Anderson so far in the majors isn't missing bats. So yeah, I do have some interest in the Padres, probably more so as one-offs and mini stacks though than full stacks because it's just not a great run scoring environment. So having 5 guys there is kind of asking for a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Favorite bat from either side of this game?
Fabio Reyes.
Okay. I'm going to go Machado. 3,900. Dual eligibility. Yeah. That's my guy. But
yeah, I mean, he would be second for me. Reyes just has so much power.
Yeah. Oh, I love him. He's a scary looking dude, too. Only 4,300. I wish he hit higher in the order, but I don't know. What are you going to do? I don't know who I would move around. I mean, I probably wouldn't be hitting Tatis leadoff, but that's neither here nor there.
I would drop Will Myers in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but I'm probably not going to hit Franmil Reyes second either.
They have been for a lot of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
Seems like a weird spot for him.
You want your top hitters sitting at the top.
True. It's very true.
Yeah, I mean, like I'd probably put like Reyes or Machado second, and then the other one third, Renfroe fourth, Myers or Hosmer fifth, Myers and Hosmer fifth, sixth, whichever order.
Man, they've got a really terrible lineup.
Kind of.
They don't have a lot of options. A lot of like guys. Renfroe, Reyes. They're. I mean, even Will Myers to an extent. They're all relatively similar in their like right-handed, slightly more power guys.
Yeah, they're gonna be a fun team over the next couple of years, though.
They really are. Lots of talent coming up. I think we're done. 8 games up, 8 games down. We got the 4-game early slate. If you want to check out any thoughts on that, check out the Early Bird, which is also available on our podcast feed. Anywhere that you get podcasts, you should be able to subscribe to the Awesemo podcast channel. And the Early Bird is also available on YouTube if you want to take a look at that. Later today, we'll have the deep dive from Laffy. Deeper dive, just Laffy and the boss man, Alex Baker. No Adam today. Correct?
Yep.
Live before lock, myself and Chris Spags taking you all the way up till 7. And then tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, live before lock PGA edition before the U.S. Open. Make sure you're tuning into this one. It's going to be a big one. Tons of monster contests through the industry. Lots of money going to be available as top prizes. The Millie Maker on DK, $100 buy-in, giving out the full $1 million. A lot going on. Ben Rasa and Jason Roslin going live at 9 o'clock, taking all of your golf questions for tomorrow's U.S. Open. Adam, anything else?
Nope, think that's it.
There we go, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button on your way out. MLB Strategy, the promo code, 50% off your first month with us. And shout out to Yahoo Sports. Check out the link to the article I'm posting right now. It's Emacs Spotlight Hitters article. If you check that out, you'll see a link to Yahoo. It really helps us out if you use that link to sign up. You could use the promo code Awesemo and get yourself up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. As good as cash, it allows you can get those $30 and fully max out their no management fee contest. But you got to make sure you get there early enough because that thing fills itself, generally speaking, before noon. We'll be back later for more content, but we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.